In today's episode,
We'll be talking about consistency, overcoming doubt, navigating growth when results aren't immediate, and the mindset it takes to keep going when you don't know if it's going to work.
I wanted to get my voice heard. So I just put out a blog. I put a post out, saying that there's some sort of a race component with Blake Sims and Jay Coker. That blog post tripled whatever I was doing. They had a league, the Junior Basketball Association. I was like, I got a way to get a part of it. I was going to drive 6 hours with no guarantee. When I've gone outside of myself and really tried to make something happen, that's when some really cool things have happened.
Welcome to Hoops and Headspace, the podcast where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Jada Rich.
I'm your co-host, Tay.
For sure. We got Mr. Brandon Williams, and we're going to give him a moment off top to talk his talk, let y'all know who he is, where he's from, what he doing, all that good stuff, man. So go ahead.
First of all, I just appreciate y'all having me on. My name is Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Fresh. I represent Alabama, went to University of Alabama, met my wife, currently live in North Carolina. Got three, wonderful children. I started a sports media company called Ball Exclusives. I started that a couple of years ago. I've been in sports media for probably over 10 years now. I was with a company called Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We were the only Black-owned media company in that particular space. And we ended up being one of the major players. And it was still in existence, but, I exited the business to start my own. I wanted to be able to use that experience and start my own platform and do something that was my original dream and passion, which is to cover and have a platform for all the major sports that I've enjoyed and, many of the consumers around. So that's kind of what I would want people to kind of think of me as, someone who's kind of been in this space, but also someone that's looking to do some really special things in this industry.
And so, just to start off our interview, what is one adversity or growth moment that really shaped your journey?
It started well over 10 years ago. So when I first got into any sort of a media space, I had a real huge passion to figure out, I wanted to get my voice heard. And at that point, it was in education. Like, I'm an educator. And I was like, man, I want to just put my thoughts figuratively pen to paper, but literally, I wanted to get my thoughts out. And one of my really good friends from college, he was like, look, just get you a free WordPress blog, and that's where you should just start. I was like, cool. So I just put out a blog. I think it was my journey into the world of education or something like that. All my friends and family as well, they was like, Brandon, you have a really great writing voice. So that's what propelled me and fueled me. I wanted to be able to kind of start eventually talking about sports, because I put probably 10 or 15 education blogs out. I was like, I want to start, venturing out to that. So there was a quarterback battle kind of brewing in Tuscaloosa with, we had a quarterback named Blake Sims. He was a black quarterback, and we had a recruit named Jacob Coker, who, was white, who was coming in, and Alabama hadn't had a black quarterback in years. So anyway, I put a post out, saying that there's some sort of a race component with Blake Sims and Jay Coker. And then that post, or that blog post, kind of tripled whatever I was doing education-wise. So I was like, all right, this is the moment for me to venture on to what I really want to do. So I was like, I need to figure out how to really put a real website together, not just some free blog post, but a real website. So I had to put myself out there. I had to spend hours and hours and hours of research figuring out how to put a website together, how to properly do and effectively do SEO. So as I'm doing this, my wife goes into preterm labor. And it was an extremely scary situation. My wife was on bed rest for 4 weeks in the hospital. I stayed with her. So when I think of adversity, that's the launch pad for me. I got the website off the ground, and, it was able to kind of get me connected to, my future, or my former now partners at the Touchdown Alabama Magazine. So that was, like I said, when you speak of adversity, that's the first component of what kind of drove me to get to where I am today.
For sure. You said you were balancing a
Mhm.
lot, still trying to make a website, how does that shift your mindset and approach?
Well, I think, you're looking for some sort of a spark or a moment that says, okay, this is the direction I need to go. So like I mentioned, I'm writing all these education, blogs or whatnot. I mean, they wasn't getting as much traction. I've been a sports nut, enthusiast, whatever you want to call it, ever since I've been a little child. So when I finally put my thoughts and my perspective on a passion for me, which was at that time, especially Alabama football, it's like, okay, this is the direction that I really need to go. And that's what I did.
For sure. So what has your experiences taught you about resilience and consistency?
For me, when we first started off, or when I first started off with Touchdown Alabama, we were considered legit media, but our contemporaries did not view us the same way. And I wasn't really ready for that, So, when you're trying to make a mark in an industry like that, we eventually had to figure out how to be creative. So when we talk about resiliency, we had to take those punches. You got to eventually roll with all these punches, and then you figure out, okay, this is how I can kind of get my shot off. So it took a few years before we really found our footing. We're not going to put some of our stuff out the same way, And once we kind of figured that part out, it became a lot more. It came a little bit easier because I felt like I wasn't trying to cater to what they think we should be like. I was like, man, forget all that. This is how we're going to do it. And if you rock with us, you rock with it. And if you don't,
For sure. How do you feel about the fact that you have to say that if you rock with it, you rock with it because of the fact that you write differently? You know what I mean?
No, great question. All right. So, and I can't speak for all SEC, writers, but I'm sure it's a lot of old school journalism. So they all teach that newspaper style, old school journalism. There's a certain way to put a headline out. There's a certain way to put an article out. When you put something on social media, it's like all like, a certain way. And, we were doing that. Like, it was like, we're going to copy and paste pretty much the same way that our contemporaries and colleagues are doing, so it got to a point where I was like, okay, if we're going to put something out on social media, it's going to be using people that look like us. Like, we did a lot of stuff with hip hop influences in it. We would throw other stuff to cater to anybody like that would be considered, funny or whatever. But I wanted for people that would come from Tustin, Alabama to know, okay, we've heard that this is a black-owned company, but we can really see that they're a black-owned company because somebody got some sort of urban influence that whoever's on their social media, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was important for them to feel represented, even if they weren't like hip-hop enthusiasts. I felt like since that's a lot of my influence, I wanted that to spill over for whoever was reading our content or whoever was following us, especially on social media, to kind of get that vibe from us.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it all. What I love
Yeah.
most of it, y'all was unapologetically y'all. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I really
Okay.
love about it.
Yeah. Just for yourself, what inspired you to start a sports media company on your own?
I'm just a big sports person. If I'm not watching it, I'm trying to find something to read on it. In terms of me wanting to start a sports media, I wanted to be able to put it out to the masses. I want to be able to be in the same space as those of like Bleacher Report. The way that Bleacher Report started, they started with some guys in the college dorm. So I wanted to be able to do the same thing those guys did, but I want to be the guy to say that I had that same, story as well. I want to be able to have where when someone says, okay, Ball exclusives, there's somebody that looks like me that's done it themselves also. I want to be able to do something with taking it from just one vertical and use it across multiple verticals in the sports realm. So yeah, that's the reason. I'm really passionate about it.
For sure. And what were some of those early challenges you had building something from scratch?
Shoot, I'm still in the early struggles and challenges right now. We still going through them, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, from day one until now, people had to know what y'all are doing. The two of y'all, for example, we have this podcast, but we want other people to hear it. How do you get people to hear it? How do we market? How do we brand it? So that's the early struggles that, we're still going through. I got my branding on. Well, this is old. Actually, we got a new updated logo, but, it's still, how do I get people to know that I'm in this space as well? And that's kind of the way that I feel sometimes, I feel like I have, a great website, but if the people don't know that I exist, they're not going to come. So that's still some of the struggles and challenges that we're still dealing with currently.
For sure. And so how do you stay consistent when growth isn't immediate?
I mean, every day is a new task, a new challenge. And sometimes all it takes is one article, and who knows, just the right people just might need to hear it and say, oh, I didn't know that. I've seen this Ball exclusive thing. I didn't know that the guy was Black. They may not care that's the case, but it might inspire somebody. So I'm just staying consistent with not getting complacent. We're still going to work every day doing what we're doing. And at some point, it'll hit.
For sure. And real quick, if you're listening to this and you're serious about growing, not just as an athlete, but mentally too, I've got something for you. I'm hosting the Mississippi Black Creators Podcast Summit this July, where creators, athletes, and storytellers come together to learn how to build platforms, grow their voice, and create real impact. Tickets go on sale May 1st, so grab them tickets on Eventbrite, and I have the link down below in the episode description. Also, if you've been tapped into Hoops and Headspace, make sure you check out Hoops and Headspace Films. We got some real stories and documentaries on sports, culture, and mental health. And then check out Hoops and Headspace Academy, where we go deeper on mindset, leadership, and athlete development. Now, let's get back into it. What separates people who succeed in media from those who quit early?
So I'm gonna go back a little bit to like when we were having a lot of those struggles with my last company, because like I said, it took like 4 years really before we really got to a point where we were like making like really good profit and able to like actually hire people. We had interns out, they just believed in what we were doing. But I mean, me and my former partner, we sometimes be on the phone late at night, early in the morning, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to throw in the towel many times, because like you said, I mean, it's like, at what point does it change? And there's no clear cut answer, but you just got to continue. You got to keep grinding. If you know that you got something that's good, you just got to do it. But not only that, and this is where I'm going to shift just a little bit with my former company, I started a separate website where I wanted to cover the Ball family. Y'all are both Hoop people, so y'all know LaVar and all the whole family. Right. I was just a huge, just major advocate for what they were doing. When they hit the scene in 2017, like I was like, yes, like I was like beating the BBB LaVar Ball train. Like you would have thought I was like an obsessed, like, how to love the Swifties, like you would have thought, or the Beehive, or whatever. Yeah. I was like one of them people for them. My sister was like, Brandon, like, why don't you like put this on your website or something? And I didn't even have a website dedicated to them, but I just started a whole website with nothing but, LaVar and BBB content. I made some article and I shared it on my Twitter, and out of nowhere, LaVar retweets it. And they didn't retweet nothing. They had a league called the Junior Basketball Association that they were getting ready to promote and get out. And I was like, man, I got to figure out a way to get a part of it. So they had a tryout in Atlanta, and I'm 6 hours away. So I'm like, all right, I can either sit here and wonder what things would be like, or I can be proactive and see what can come of whatever. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to drive down there. I just show up to the tryout. I meet Alan. He was LaVar's like right-hand man at the time. Long story short, we developed a relationship. They were like, hey, would you like to help us start this basketball league? I'm like, yeah, but that wouldn't have happened had I not pivoted and, done something that was really out of my comfort zone, driving 6 hours away with really no guarantee of anything. In those moments that I've had in business and in just personal, when I've gone outside of myself and like really like tried to make something happen and been proactive, that's when some really cool things have happened. I was able to make history and be a part of the first American Basketball League for athletes who wanted to skirt the NCAA. Like we was the first ones to do that with the JBA. So then you had the G League that did that. Then you had Overtime Elite that did that a few years ago. But we were the ones that did it first. So I'm, with LaMelo when he's 16 and traveling around the country with all these guys. And I had a big role in that. I was the director of media relations for that league. I was an announcer, so I'm calling games on a live broadcast. And I've never done nothing like that. Like I was a novice to everything I was doing, but I would have never gotten an opportunity like that had I not drove down to Atlanta.
That's big though. Knowing that there was you behind it, that's crazy now. Like to just think
Yeah,
about
like
it.
for
Like
real.
it's
That's why I
crazy.
told you.
'Cause, like,
That's why I told you.
I watched it. Like it's crazy to like
That's
think
why I
about
told you.
Yeah, it's big though. Congrats on that, man.
Nah, it was
Yeah,
fun,
most
man.
definitely.
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah.
Life-changing experience, and I wrote a book on it. So it was cool. It was dope. Straight up.
So, do you find yourself trying not to mentally compare in negative ways?
So one thing that's been successful for me is I like to try to model whatever I'm doing off of someone that's successful. All right, so even what I'm doing now with Ball Exclusives, I'll take bits and pieces from this company, that company. So I'm like, all right, if we're putting out good graphics just as good as this company, how come we're not getting the same reach as that company is when I know that we're doing just as good as what they're doing? So that is a struggle, and it is frustrating, but that's where we have to try to figure out how to pivot, because if it's not working, it still doesn't mean that you dial down your quality. You just got to figure out a different way to deliver it if it's not successful.
Yeah. And then as far as you building and maintaining a strong team and network, how do you build and maintain that strong team and network?
Well, I mean, it starts from you as the individual. I consider myself a CEO, a leader, or whatnot. They're going to follow, me based on how I'm treating them. People are expecting me to treat them a certain way and lead them into whatever their goals and aspirations are in this particular industry. So if my intentions for them aren't pure, at some point, I mean, they're going to sniff that out and they'll be like, nah, he ain't it. Like, I don't even want to fool with him. And I've always tried to make sure that I've had good people around me, good people that believe in the vision that I have. And then, we're able to kind of work in tandem together. But I mean, it's hard to build anything without having a good team of people around you. The people who we brought on at my last business, they're still there. And a lot of them, they work directly under me, and they're still implementing a lot of the same things that I put in place for them. And we still have a great relationship to this day. But I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that we're doing without having these people put in place.
Yeah, for sure. What habits or routines have helped you stay disciplined in your work?
One of the biggest things is making sure that you have good people where you need them. Because I can't, there's no way for me to do everything, especially with what I'm doing by myself. I just can't do it. So I need to make sure that I have certain principles in place that I can deliver to the people that I need to help me so that they can in turn, put the stuff out. So the habits, is basically making sure that I have good principles in place. For example, if they say, all right, I'm gonna get up every day at 5:00 and I'm gonna check emails, I'm gonna respond to emails. I'm gonna make sure that the team, we have a meeting at 9:00 and we're gonna go over X, Y, and Z. Like whatever that is, like it has to be done consistent. I think we probably said the word consistent, at least 20 times already, because that is one of the biggest keys. You have to be consistent in whatever you're doing. So I try to put systems in place so that if I lose everybody tomorrow, like if I get a new crop of people working with me, like I can go ahead and just say, hey, this is how we do business here. This is the system. And then it's up to you to be able to follow through and do what I need you to do with it.
For sure. And then just some mental performance and industry pressure, like advice for others. What advice would you give to someone trying to break into the sports media industry today?
If you can find the right people that you can network with, like if it's athletes or entertainers or even the people that are behind the scenes with that, like all it takes is one post on a social media platform, and then instantly, you're seen by hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions. The more and more that you keep building that network up, people see you as a trusted, oh, they really are talking to somebody that plays, this sport or whatnot.
For sure. If somebody just heard your answer, but mentally they're struggling with chasing their goal, they're struggling with the doubt, they're struggling with that slow progress, what would you tell them for this up here?
Find out who those people that are really in your corner and lean on them, especially when those early 2 to 3 years when you might have some of those struggles. And I'm really thankful to have a loving, supportive wife, so that really helps. So when I'm struggling or if I'm like frustrated, I can talk to her about, look, man, and like I said, that's what you need. So that's one thing. And there's, I'm sure, tons of other things, but for me, that's something that's been really helpful over the years, because I couldn't have been able to work with Big Baller Brand without that support. I was away for 2+ months while we had a 1-year-old, and she said, go, like, you need to do this. And it was hard. It was hard for me, but it was definitely hard for her because she had 3 kids with the 1-year-old by herself.
For sure, man. Shout out to a strong support system, man. Most definitely a strong support system, for sure.
Absolutely.
Man, this is where you let the folks know what you done, what you finna do, what you are doing, and you give yourself some flowers, man. So, Brandon, talk your talk, man.
All right, only because you asked for it. I helped take a print company that wasn't doing a whole lot in the Alabama football space, a Black-owned company, and turn us into a major player in the Alabama football space. I was able to work with, like I said, LaVar Ball and Big Baller Brand, and we were able to complete a whole season, an all-star game, a championship. We were the first ones to do anything like that, and I was a major part of that. Those are the things that when I really look back and I'm like, man, like I really did some really cool stuff. That's where I'm like, all right, like Brandon, you really, I don't know, I may not ever get recognition from it ever. The people that really followed it and really know, like they know, like my former colleagues at Toughness, Alabama, they know that without my involvement, who knows what would have happened to that company. I'm not going to say that they would have closed up shop, but there wasn't a plan until I got there. LaVar was going to start the JBA League with me or without me, but I was one that was chosen to help them get it going. And I made some great suggestions, some things that I wrote about in the book that came to light because of my voice. And again, we was the first to do it. So like, that's my talk. I'm going to leave it there, but I'm just really, those are things I'm really proud of. I'll be honest, I'm really proud of those things. The JBA League, a league of our own. It's on Amazon, so you can get the Kindle version or the hard copy version. For anybody, for all those who are watching, if y'all could, just, do us the honor to support us. Definitely y'all first. This is y'all's platform, but with Ball, this is what we're trying to do. Visit us on our website, www.ballexclusives.com. We cover, NBA, NFL, MLB, all the basketball, football, baseball, whatnot. Download our app. We got an app that's in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all Ball Exclusives, TikTok as well. I'm gonna try to get a podcast at some point. I'm jumping off, but any support, it only takes a small snowball. And if y'all can help us start that snowball and let it start to build, that would be great. So much appreciated.
For sure.
You and Tay, just for even having me on. Y'all could ignore the DMs.
Oh yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? But we're here.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. Yeah.
For sure, man. So let's go ahead and close this thing out. This is Hoops and Headspace, the podcast where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Jada Rich, and we appreciate y'all for watching. Hey, man, if this episode helped you, the biggest thing you can do is share it with another athlete who needs it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes on mental health, mindset, and life beyond the game. And if you're ready to take things deeper, tap into everything we're building. There's Hoops and Headspace Films, there's Hoops and Headspace the podcast, and there's Hoops and Headspace the Academy. This is bigger than sports. It's about who you become through it. I'll see you in the next episode.